You're with the Breaker-Leggers, and we are in London at one of our most favourite venues, the Almeida,
to see the play Machinal.
So stay tuned to find out how many legs,
Whether it's break a leg
or leg it. Before you amazing people go any further,
To make sure you've always got your finger on the theatrical pulse,
for honest theatre reviews, news and interviews,
pop down, hit subscribe now.
Yes,
It's free.
it's free.
Yeah.
And also comment below about this show or any other shows you are seeing that you're excited about. Join our Lega Theatre community.
We absolutely love to hear from you.
So the machinal.
Just Machinal. Now, there's been some debate about pronunciation about this throughout its life, whether it's Machinal, although I read quite a definitive article saying it is Machinal, and that is the way the playwright intended it to be pronounced.
So you say throughout its life.
Yes.
So when did its life start?
Well, it
How
was
old is this?
written by American playwright Sophie Treadwell in 1928 and inspired by the real-life case of convict Ruth Snyder and her loveless marriage. Now, the original production was directed by Arthur Hopkins in that same year and is notable for hosting the Broadway debut of legend Clark Gable.
Wow.
Yeah, this production itself, though, is directed by Natalie Abrahami. Now, she's previously directed the RSC production of Queen Anne, which we saw, and we have a review for that, so check that out. And also, recently, Wings at the Young Vic, starring
One of our favourite actresses,
Juliet Stevenson.
That's the one.
We love you, Juliet.
We do, we love Juliet. Cast-wise for this?
Well, quite an exciting one for this. We've got Natalie Abrahami, who was in Motherfucker with the Hat at the National a few years ago and was brilliant. The whole show was great, absolutely great. And also Denise Black is in the cast for this one. She was probably best known for playing Denise Osborne in the ITV soap Coronation Street, which has been running for, gosh, almost 60 years now. But I know her best and love her best from playing the role of Hazel in the UK version of Queer as Folk.
Okay.
Now, the play is considered to be an expressionist masterpiece.
Do we know what that means?
Well, from
an
what
expressionist masterpiece?
Yeah, from what I can understand, I mean, we don't see a lot of expressionism, but it seems to be that it's a comment on society where the characters don't inhabit actual names or places, so we can project real life onto them, rather than them just playing out a story to us.
Sounds a bit interesting.
Interesting, I think, is probably a word for it.
Okay.
It's 80 minutes with no interval, so we won't be catching up with you again until the end.
We'll see you then.
We've come to the end of Machinal at the Almeida.
With this 80-minute straight through little clip of, was it expressionist theatre?
Yeah, and it was pacey. I think the director had a really good kind of grip on the text and also how to drive it forward. It's like short, sharp little bursts of scenes, aren't there?
It's like I think none of the scenes were more than 7 minutes long. It seemed 10 minutes max. Some of them were shorter. Some a minute long. There's a really nice, very opening scene just on a on a subway, which is literally about 30 seconds, which visually looked fantastic.
Yes.
So
almost
very
Renaissance-esque. This sort of still, moment in somebody's life, which was beautifully lit and artistically very creative.
So artistically and expressionist. So what do you think of this kind of style of piece?
I actually quite liked it. I mean, I've looked into sort of what expressionism is, and the only other piece that we've seen which is apparently typical of the era is the hairy ape, which
we caught at the old Vic.
Yes, a couple of years ago. And do you know what? It just didn't speak to me at all. I found myself confused. I didn't know what it was trying to tell me. I
didn't really care.
No, but for this, actually,
I cared a lot.
I cared too, and I think I can almost. It's very relatable, and I can see how someone can get themselves into the situation that the lead character, who is just called Young Woman in this, so we can all relate.
Although her name is Mrs. Jones.
Yes, so there are like little hints of what she is, but I mean, in the script, she's Young Woman. I feel her pain, and I sensed her journey.
I thought it ties in really well with what the Almeida are doing this season, which seems to be championing the work of women.
Yes.
Which, considering the industry, it's always been the way that men hold the cards, not just this industry, in life through the past however long. and now that balance is being readdressed and pushing through that, and that's what this season is doing. They're trying to push through, it seems, writing by female writers, directors, also female directors,
and stories about women that are central to the themes. There's a quote in the programme actually about a review of Sophie Treadwell, who wrote this in 1928, that said, even the best of our women playwrights fall considerably short of the mark of that of our best masculine. Why should it be that women, when it comes to the confection of drama, are most often inferior to their boyfriends?
And that is what this piece is about, ultimately, the inequality of the treatment of women within the criminal justice system, not within that, but also within social norms, what is expected of them. And our main character, this woman, doesn't want to conform what is expected of her, to go to work, to marry, and then become a mother. She doesn't want to do that, and you feel so much her pain and how she is trapped in this world, just looking to find her journey and her way in life, but she's trapped. That
being said, I almost felt at times that she wanted the best of both worlds, because she's having a conversation with herself about what her life will be, and when she says, when she said, my husband's going to give me a life, I'm going to lie in bed till noon, yes please. I think there were times where she was conflicted with actually what she actually truly wanted. Do you think she knew?
No, I don't think she did, because even then she did go for that. She wasn't happy. She was almost wanted to escape the world of her mum and what was expected of those traditional values from her mum.
I've got to say, in terms of the director and what we've seen before of the director, it was very typical of Natalie Abrahami's vision for a piece. Now, the set for this was very similar to Wings, carpeted black bank stage with small bits of furniture kind of coming in and out. She did a lot of aerial work in that actually, which was quite different, but I could tell it was that same director. But luckily enough, that director had a fantastic lighting person involved in this, by way of Jack Knowles, because the lighting was the star of the show.
Fantastic, beautiful lighting. The use of a simple cloth coming in to change each scene, but with strips of bright white light, which it just moves so well. Also, I've got to say, as well as the lighting, the soundscaping I thought was brilliant as well.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful sound by Ben and Max Ringham. So well done, guys. Ben and Max also did something quite high profile that we saw recently.
Oh?
And that was Quiz.
Oh, okay.
Same
the James Graham play.
A bit more creativity here, because you're not bound to the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire theme tune all the time, are you? Do you know what else was interesting? It started off in the 1920s, but as every single scene went by, we progressed in age right up until sort of modern day times. And do you know what? That's a wonderful creative touch. It threw me at first, because I was trying to, in my mind, work out how place it, and sort of how is she aging here? Are we going through that period in real time? But actually, no, we're not. And I think that was the director's intention, to show that scenario is a tale as old as time. It's sort of something that happens
and is
throughout
still
the ages,
prevalent now.
And is still prevalent now.
Okay, so yeah, lighting, set. It was a very simple set, I think, because it moved very quickly between scenes. You didn't want to get stuck with a big scene change. So it was just enough to have hints of where you were and what was going on, but quick enough to get off and then for the next scene to come in.
In terms of central character, I would say Emily Berrington as the young woman, probably, it's a great vehicle for her. She goes on a massive journey, and it's a really intense piece for her. I don't envy her much in that regard, but I'm sure she's loving having something to get her teeth into, and she's doing it with great verve.
And talking of teeth getting into, some of the text is very wordly, very short, very snippety, almost poetic in style. To learn something like that must be very hard, actually, because it's most nonsensical, just short words showing feelings, but not quite lyrical, comparing it to music. So she did really well there.
And also Denise Black in the role of Mother, showing again what a fantastic actress she is. I've only seen her on screen, but seeing somebody on stage, it's a totally different medium. She's just talented. She's great.
She is. I don't recognise her at all, but she's got a fantastic scene. I think it's the second or third scene, and she's such a pushy, dry, brutal force, and she did great with that.
She plays a woman of her time. She plays someone that's clearly gone through the Depression in America, and actually, just sees everything as a security. She wants reassurances that she's going to be looked after, she's going to be provided for, and that is the only impetus, and that's passed on to the daughter character, who then feels responsibility for it. It is almost like a mother living vicariously through her daughter for the things that she would expect of herself. Greatly played.
Greatly played. A cast is about 13 altogether. I thought they're all great, actually. Those were the two that stuck out to me. Any others that stand out to you?
I just thought that it was a great ensemble piece. I mean, a lot of them doubled up. I mean, we had John McKay as the role of man at table, but also defence and barber, and to split in between those roles was great. I've always loved Natalie Abrahami, and again, she didn't have a huge amount to do, but whenever she did have anything to do, it was delivered really well.
There was just some really nice moments in this, like the scene when they're working was great. All kind of these bits of paper going here, there, and everywhere. The choreography and tying that with lighting and music was fantastic.
So, I bet you're wondering how many legs we're going to give this piece.
So for this piece, Machinal,
Yes.
here at the Almeida Theatre, we are going to give four legs for this piece. It was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, an absolute surprise for me, because reading the blurb, it isn't something that really jumped out at me as, oh my god, I must book this in this season. Now, the Almeida usually has 2 or 3 per season, but with this one, I was a little bit more laid back about it. But you know what? So glad I took a risk and came to see it, because it's opened my eyes on what expressionism is. And after a bad experience with the hairy ape, sometimes you're scared to dip your toe back in the water, but do for this piece. I think it will change your mind.
I was worried about what expressionist theatre would be, but actually it's written very well, it moves very well, it drives through, and it's very well performed.
And that's just what we think.
Just what we thought.
Yeah, what do you think? We'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment below. We're the Break-A-Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon. Bye.